Hey YouTube, today I have just made one of our new favorite desserts in the whole world. I can't believe I didn't know about this for most of my adult life. This is a twist on a classic French dessert that's actually based with cherries. It's called cherry clafouti. I don't have cherries and it's winter, so we're making it with pears. I'm using some of my canned pears. They had a little bit of almond in them and I used them for this recipe, and it made a beautiful pear clafouti. And this is just, oh, such a cool dessert, such an easy dessert, impressive, delicious, and quick to make. There are 9 ingredients. I'm going to show you what goes into this and how to do it. And you can literally make this with things you have in your cabinet and your refrigerator right now. I can just about guarantee you. I don't have fresh cherries because it's February, so I'm going to be making pear. So I'm going to get these draining and show you how simple this is to put together. This is one of our favorite desserts, and you could do it with so many different fruits. It's just basically a custard fruit. You bake it, and it's amazing. I'm using a tart pan like this because it's got the nice straight sides and it's got a removable bottom. So the hope is that I can unmold this and take it out at the end and show you how nice it is when it's sliced. All right, the first thing I've done is greased with butter all the parts of this that I can get butter on, because we don't want this sticking when we try to unmold it. And we've drained some pears, and if these were cherries, same thing, you're just gonna scatter them in a single layer on the bottom of this pan. And because these are canned pears, I definitely want them drained as well as I can, because if you get too much liquid going on, then your custard is going to not set up quite as well. It'll still be delicious, it'll just be a little harder to slice. So there are 2 pints of canned pears that went into this, and I think that looks like that's going to be enough, because we're going to pour custard all down through them. And then we're going to get the custard ingredient whipped up. We have the oven preheated to 350 degrees already. And I'm going to set aside the drained pear syrup because we use that for mixed drinks in the winter. All right, and in a medium-sized mixing bowl, we're going to put 2 eggs. And we're just going to whisk those together a bit to get them broken up. And then we've got 2 tablespoons of melted butter. We're going to add that. It's cooled a little because you don't want to hit the eggs with hot butter. We've got a cup of whole milk. And I'm adding just a scant 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract just to give these a little bit of extra flavor. And for the vanilla, you can either do 1/8 teaspoon of vanilla, or I've got 2 teaspoons of vanilla paste, vanilla bean paste. I didn't know it existed until recently, and it's kind of neat. It has the little seeds in it, and it's in sort of a suspension. And I'm using that instead of a full vanilla bean, but you could do that as well if you have vanilla beans handy. I just do not. They're kind of expensive. I don't really care to use them unless it really is something like ultra special. And even this, nah, probably not going to do it. All right, we've got that combined, and then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, and just 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. And that will be the base for your custard. We're just going to kind of get that combined. And we're just going to pour this right over the fruit in the tart pan. Make sure you break up all the flour lumps. You don't want to have any lumpy things going on in your custard. And there are a couple of ways to make this. I made one recently where it was cooked a lot quicker in the oven because you had hot milk on the stove. And you got that hot, and then you poured that into tempered eggs and a little bit of sugar, and then poured that hot mixture over the fruit, and then it only baked for 15 minutes. And I can't for the life of me find where I found that recipe, so we're going with an alternate recipe. So that is whisked up about as smooth as it's gonna get. And when I am making things that may leak in the oven, I put them in some kind of a pan that will catch anything that leaks or boils over, so you don't have a mess in your oven. And especially a tart pan, I've learned the hard way, when you go to take this out of the oven, be careful. Because if you're not thinking about it, you think it's like a pie plate and you go to grab it with oven mitts, see that? I've had this come completely apart when I unmolded it in the oven, and hot things happened and a mess. So I just think it's safer to put it inside of another tray just to deal with. And we're just going to pour that batter right over the fruit, just like that. And you can see how kind of rustic and pretty this is going to look when it's done. There's that. And I just like to add a little dusting of cinnamon on the top. For apple or pear, it'd be good with a little dust of cinnamon. And we're going to go ahead and put this carefully in the oven, and it's going to bake for about 50 minutes, and then we'll cool it. And you can either serve this warm-ish or let it cool entirely and serve it that way. All right, that's just going in a middle rack. Kind of lower third of the oven, actually. That's not entirely in the middle. And we'll check that in 50 minutes. So this has been in for 45 minutes. And here's why we put the tray under it. See the overspill from the egg cooking up? So there's your trick kitchen hack from Steph. We're gonna give that the remaining 5 minutes, and then we're gonna come back and check it. And we want a knife inserted in the center of that to come out clean. So I'm gonna give it that extra 5 minutes. 50 minutes has gone by, and we wanna see a knife inserted in the center to come out clean, and that did. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out of the oven and get it cooling on a rack. And look how gorgeous that looks. And you can see this would have all been on the oven, cooking and burning. So take my advice, put this in a tray. Anytime you're doing anything with juicy fruit like pie or anything that might bubble out, if there's any chance of it bubbling out, even pies, I usually put them on one of these trays. So I'm gonna let that sit until it's nice and cool. And here's the finished dessert. We had this with our Valentine's Day dinner and it was so good. I highly recommend trying this with cherry though. That is really my favorite. I hope this inspires you to try this wonderful, somewhat unknown French dessert. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.